দর্শক আপনাদের সবাইকে স্বাগত অর্থ সংলাপে। আপনাদের প্রিয় অনুষ্ঠান অর্থ সংলাপ বাংলাদেশের এগিয়ে যাওয়া, বাংলাদেশের অর্থনীতির সংকট সম্ভাবনা এবং বাংলাদেশের বাংলাদেশের সম্ভাবনা, আন্তর্জাতিক কমিউনিটি, আন্তর্জাতিক সংস্থাগুলোর সাথে আমাদের যে অর্থনীতির যোগাযোগ, অর্থনীতির যে কার্যক্রম, সব কিছুই আমরা এই অনুষ্ঠানে নিয়ে আসি। আপনারা নিশ্চয়ই খেয়াল করেছেন যে আমরা কোনো বিষয়ের গভীরে যাওয়ার চেষ্টা করি প্রতিদিনই, বিশেষ করে প্রতিদিন যেদিন থাকে অর্থ সংলাপ, বিষয়টাকে জানানো এবং ওই সেক্টরে একজন সংশ্লিষ্ট জন আমাদের সাথে থাকেন, বিশিষ্ট জন। আজও আছেন আমাদের সাথে একজন বিশিষ্ট জন, তিনি ক্রিস্টা রাডার। ক্রিস্টা রাডার হচ্ছেন বিশ্ব খাদ্য কর্মসূচি, জাতিসংঘ বিশ্ব খাদ্য কর্মসূচির বাংলাদেশ প্রতিনিধি। তিনি বাংলাদেশের যে পুষ্টির পরিস্থিতি, বাংলাদেশের যে খাদ্য নিরাপত্তা, এই বিষয়গুলি সার্বক্ষণিক নজরে রাখেন, সার্ভে করেন, এগুলো নিয়ে গভর্নমেন্টকে সাজেশন দেন এবং ইন্টারন্যাশনাল জাতিসংঘের সাথে একটা যোগাযোগ করেন বাংলাদেশে এই সংস্থায়। ঘরে অনেকেই জানেন এই সংস্থার নাম এবং তাদের কার্যক্রম, খুব বেশি বলার প্রয়োজন নেই। তো আমরা শোনার আছে অনেক কিছু তার কাছে। ক্রিস্টা রাডারের কাছে আমরা যাচ্ছি। ক্রিস্টা রাডার, welcome you to Ortho Sanglap. As I committed to my viewers that we will go for the nutrition situation and the food security of the country, how you are observing, what is the findings and what is your suggestions toward the country for the betterment of this sector. At first, please let me know what is the situation of the nutrition situation in the country, because you have done many surveys recently.
Good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me. Let me start with food security. Since the independence of Bangladesh, the country has been enormously successful in increasing rice production. There is a very simple saying: while the population has doubled, the rice production has tripled since independence.
The farmers are very smart, Bangladesh.
And the research of Bangladesh and the introduction of a new borrow crop some decades ago. So Bangladesh is today self-sufficient in rice production. However, not in the production of other food crops like pulses, like oil, like vegetables, milk, fruit. This is by itself not dramatic because the country can import. However, not everyone in the country has the means to access these higher value foods.
Still we have.
And this is very much linked to people's income. We still have 50 million people in this country living in poverty.
That's a very big number.
Yes. And it is linked to their knowledge about good food intake. There's a high preference in this country for eating a lot of rice and eating less of other not that expensive food commodities like vegetables.
How you have observation, you have made many maps of the nutrition. Do you think that this is habitual, that taking more rice, or that they have lack of capacity to buy other cereals, other balanced nutrition?
It is both.
Both.
It is both. But let us look now at the nutrition situation of the country.
Please.
Nutrition is measured internationally by the percentage of children below 5 years that are too small for their age. This is called stunted. And in Bangladesh, we have 4 out of 10 children below 5 who are stunted. This is quite a high number.
Quite high number,
However, compared with other countries in the region that share the same issues, you are doing better. India has still 48%, Pakistan 45%. So Bangladesh, in the latest national statistics, 41%. There are also indications that it has gone
better in terms
down.
of the regional comparison, but in the global comparison and the standard is we are below.
Yes, and the whole of South Asia is low, and sub-Saharan Africa. How has this developed over the years? In the 1980s, we had more than 70% of the children in Bangladesh being stunted. In fact, Bangladeshis believe that they are just smaller than other people. That is not true. Every child in this world up to the age of 5 has the same growth potential. So we can
all over the world,
all over the world, if the race or the ethnicity has small adults or very tall adults, up to 5 years of age, all children in the world should grow the same if they are properly fed and properly taken care of. So we have had tremendous success, and Bangladesh is internationally a success case. We have reduced from the 1980s to now from more than 70% stunted children to now 41%. So this is a success, but the 41% are still 6 million children below the age of 5 that cannot live up to their full physical and also mental potential. This implies productivity losses for the next generation.
The future is in the cloudy.
Yeah, well, it is linked to nutrition, and the estimation is that the country at this point loses about $1 billion in productivity due to the nutrition challenge.
$1 billion productivity is lost
per year. Yes.
per year. It's a very big number.
It's a big number. So this really is a call for investing in nutrition.
Yeah.
Investing at all fronts. Bangladesh has the means to do so. Bangladesh has proven that in other areas like family planning, like mass immunization, that when there is a joint commitment, there is action and there is success. So I'm very hopeful that also the issue of child undernutrition can be tackled.
Do you find the government and the other stakeholders' activities and the efforts are enough to do that? Because all the governments now in the past several decades are saying we are sincere about the nutrition development. We are working with the global organizations to develop our nutrition organization. But where they are facing problems, why they are not? They have not been able for the total success. Why?
Because nutrition is a multi-sectoral challenge, as the causes are multi-sectoral. The causes are not only linked to health issues, are not only linked to food issues, the causes are linked to socio-cultural issues. It goes as far as very early marriage here in Bangladesh and early childbearing. So what is needed is a multi-sectoral
early marriage is a major concern of the undernutrition of the children.
Yes, it is.
Why? It comes from the mother or the
because if
families?
Adolescent girls get married very early, their own body is not fully developed.
Their own body.
And if their own body competes with the child in their womb, their own body the growth of their own body dominates. And there's a high likelihood of low birth weight children, which is again a cause for very early child undernutrition. I'd like to explain how these days the research community and in general the international community sees the challenge of nutrition. It starts with conception. And the first 1,000 days, it is called a window of opportunity from conception until 2 years of age. This is when the biggest difference can be made. So if a mother is well nourished while she's pregnant, if the mother is an adult, she will give the child all what the child needs in the womb. If she takes care in antenatal care, if she takes part, and then feeds this is fundamental, feeds the child properly.
What the problem is the underaged marriages in this region is a several hundred years problem. I think we have been carry on, unfortunately. Have you seen any development over the past decades in underage marriage?
Yes,
How?
Definitely.
What is the behavior and character?
I do not know the percentage years ago, but it has definitely significantly improved, especially the very, very early marriages.
What helped to purchase make this change? Education?
Definitely education for the children. Children stay in school. Everybody is in primary school now. Still, secondary school is a challenge. Girls drop out because
the books
they
are not
married.
books only. It is nutrition.
Yes, but they also should learn about nutrition at school. So books are not only books. It's also the future of the country.
Future of the country.
So it is fundamental that we protect these first 1,000 days, ensure that the mother is adult, is well nourished when pregnant. Then when the child is born, within 1 hour of birth, breastfeeding is initiated. That is not the case in this country. Very often, the first milk, I think you call it gawa, dud, is thrown away.
There's different names in different regions.
Yes, is thrown away, and this milk is the most valuable in terms of helping for immunity, helping the newborn child get resistance. So often that is still thrown away. Early breastfeeding is not initiated within 1 hour of birth. Very often children are given honey, sugar water. That is all not good. Only mother's milk should be given. And that should be the case for the first 6 months.
Christa Rader, how you feel that you did your PhD in Bangladesh in the subject rural economy? How you see Bangladesh nutrition and other economic environment at that time in 1986 and now, if you compare?
At that time, I did not look much into the nutritional status, but as I mentioned, people believe that they are simply smaller than we are, that their children are simply smaller here in Bangladesh. And at that time, there was a lot of economic stress. Now the situation has generally improved, poverty has reduced, the country has learned how to adapt to natural disasters. So overall, there is tremendous progress in this country. Education. At that time in the village I stayed, very few children went to school. Now schools are full.
But another thing I want to know from you, because our government and our politicians are targeted to make the country for the middle income country, you know, they talk with you and other organizations. How you feel if we want to be a middle income country, the status nutrition status is enough to be the middle income country? Where should it go to achieve that?
Maybe on average the middle income country status can be achieved without addressing nutrition. However, in the long term, the economic progress and the competitiveness of the Bangladeshi labor force will only be there if nutrition will be addressed. And this addressing nutrition will lead to a further acceleration of the progress of Bangladesh. Nutrition is interesting. We need to look at it from two angles. Simple income increase does not lead to improvements in nutrition because the knowledge needs to be there, especially the knowledge on how a pregnant woman should eat and how she should then feed her newborn child. That knowledge needs to be there. But if we look at the other way around, improved nutrition will lead to higher incomes and higher growth.
This doesn't matter how I can feed my wife and children by this money. This is matter.
It is money and knowledge.
Money and knowledge.
Yes.
Definitely.
It's the knowledge and the money that is then translated into better practices. And it is in the practices of maternal food intake and infant and young child feeding that the problem still lies. As I had started explaining, it's giving the first milk, initiating breastfeeding in the first hour of birth, then 6 months, nothing but the mother's milk, not a drop of water, not a drop of honey, nothing but the mother's milk. And after 6 months, good additional food in addition to the milk. The milk gives the human protein, and then we give additional food. A diversified diet, not just rice, vegetables, fruit, chicken, eggs.
Some nutrition activists and some of the social development activists say there is a new problem in our country. The people, especially the young women and the mothers are coming to work in the factories in the urban areas. They don't have maternity leave or the paid maternity leave as they can feed their children breastfeeding. This is the problem. If they wish, even if they want, they can do that. Do you think this is a problem?
I believe this is a big problem. And it may also be one of the causes why in urban slum areas we have very high child undernutrition rates. The mothers do not have a 6 months period where they can do the exclusive breastfeeding. They may have a much shorter period. There can be provisions, for example, in the garments. Maybe some of the garments factories have started the provision that the child be brought to the mother so that she can do breastfeeding while at work. But it is a general challenge, and the Bangladesh government needs to be commended that it has introduced a half-year maternity leave for all its civil servants, female civil servants, so they can stay with their child for half a year.
Most of the women, huge number of women, then the government servants are doing work in the private factories.
Yes.
They are not implemented.
No.
How can we do?
The garment factories and the other factories need to be sensitized on how
can
to
facilitate.
Can we seek help
from the World Food Program like organizations to implement there?
Not necessarily from the World Food Program. It can be from the government, from the Ministry of Health. They know this very well and can give appropriate messages.
Yeah.
We'll get to it later, but we also need to use all media to make everybody aware. It is not necessarily bad will, it is lack of knowledge.
Here I should ask another question you. How media and other stakeholders can effectively participate in this effort, in this mission of development of nutrition? What should be the role?
What is fundamental is to get the right messages, that the media educates itself in the first instance on nutrition. The UN agencies in Bangladesh, and this is UNICEF, WHO, FAO and WFP together, would be most pleased to give the knowledge to the media. And in fact, we have already started with some journalists. Once the clear messages are there, the media and all kinds of media can get it out to the people. And once we have the knowledge, we have a much higher chance.
Christa Rader, what you are observing, what are your suggestions to the government and the other stakeholders to implement the real and the ideal nutrition situation?
Thank you. We suggest a multi-sectoral commitment to nutrition and a multi-stakeholder commitment to nutrition, with the lead at the highest level of the government. We suggest an intersectoral body which exists already. It needs to be revived again. It's the National Nutrition Council, which is chaired by the Honorable Prime Minister. And then the different sectors in government to make their commitment towards nutrition. I'm giving the example health. Health already has the lead. Health is to take the lead in identifying malnourished children, identifying what can be done in support, also getting the message out to the rural areas. But then there are many, many other sectors. There's the food sector, there's the agricultural sector, there is the education sector. Children, the next generation needs to learn about nutrition. There's even the industries, the fortification of oil, for example, the iodization of salt, for example. Then the Ministry of Women and Children's Affairs that runs one of the biggest safety net programs for Bangladesh that can be made more nutrition sensitive, the Vulnerable Groups Development Program. Then the Ministry of Local Government that has many programs out there. So multi-sectoral coordination in government with multi-sectoral commitments. Then multi-stakeholder. We have such a lively NGO sector here in Bangladesh, like nowhere in the world. More than 2,000 NGOs. They are having livelihood support programs, microcredit programs. If they get the right message, and they get the right messages out to all their clientele in the rural and urban slum areas, then we have a big chance of improving the situation.
And to uplift to the ideal level.
Yes. Plus, as we mentioned before, the media, fundamental in getting the news to everybody.
We hope everyone will get your message, because you are very rightly pointed out and you have very in-depth experience in this sector. Christa Rader, in a very short period, you have detailed us, you have taken to a very in-depth of the nutrition situation. And thank you very much for coming to Ekatur and share with these views.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
প্রিয় দর্শক, আমরা ক্রিস্টা রাডারের সাথে কথা বলছিলাম, বাংলাদেশের প্রতিনিধি। তিনি জাতিসংঘ বিশ্ব খাদ্য কর্মসূচি, তিনি যেভাবে দেখলেন খাদ্য পরিস্থিতি, পুষ্টি পরিস্থিতি, বাংলাদেশের খাদ্য নিরাপত্তার বিষয়টা অনেক এগিয়েছে, কিন্তু আরও অনেক দূর যেতে হবে বিশ্বমানে পৌঁছতে হলে, মধ্য আয়ের দেশ হতে হলে। তার যে মেসেজ, তার যে সাজেশন, সেগুলো আমরা অবশ্যই ভাববো যে বাংলাদেশের পলিসি মেকার সহ যারা মাল্টি স্টেক হোল্ডার যারা বললেন, তারা এটাকে গ্রহণ করবেন এবং এভাবে কাজ করে আমরা এগিয়ে যাব একটা সুস্থ এবং স্বাবলম্বী বাংলাদেশের দিকে। শুধু রাইস নয়, সুষম পুষ্টির দিকে করে আগামী প্রজন্মের পুষ্টি এবং উন্নয়নকে নিশ্চিত করব। এই প্রত্যাশা রেখে আজ এখানেই শেষ করছি। আপনাদের সবাইকে অনেক ধন্যবাদ আমাদের সাথে থাকার জন্য।